Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular city council meeting, Monday, June 19th, 2023. If you would, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and followed by a moment of silence. Okay. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for coming this evening. We will start off our meeting with public comments. As always, if you would, please state your name and give your address for us nice and loud and clear so we can all hear. First on is Austin Keller.
Thank you. My name's Austin Keller, 1160 Malachi Drive. So I just wanted to speak today about, I've been a resident here at TUK for over 10 years, which is pretty long for all the turnover we've had. And the deer down Malachi Drive, I live at the end of Malachi Drive, it's a tipping point now. I used to have a beautiful lawn. I took a lot of pride in my lawn. I love coming home from work, seeing nice landscaping. Now it's just all destroyed. So I wish, I'm speaking here today that, some action, at least some movement can be taken place. Just in the last 2 years, it's just exponential how much deer we have. Now I get flyers. I used to get flyers to, cut my grass and put in new plants. Now it's, hey, we can come by and pick up the deer droppings out of your yard. It's unbelievable how much deer droppings I have, not just at my yard, but then all of our neighbors. So that's the first thing. The next thing, unrelated from the deer, is 18-wheelers. So on April 14th, we had a huge 18-wheeler come down Malachi Drive and get stuck at the bend. And myself, you probably know, I called the cops and they did a great job because the school bus couldn't make its way in. It was stuck there from 11 a.m. to almost 7 p.m. And I got 3 young boys. I couldn't help to think if my wife was pregnant and I had to get her to the hospital. Obviously I would have cut through one of my neighbor's yards, but if I had to. But 18-wheelers, there's some businesses down there on Malachi. I'm not going to call them out by names, but they do order a lot of stuff, and they get confused. They think it's like a real business, but it's just somebody's house, and they order a lot of stuff. So maybe a sign or something that no through traffic once you get past the clubhouse, but that's just another comment I'd like to bring in. But thank you for your time. I appreciate the ability to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Keller.
Thanks for coming, Austin.
Norm Snyder.
Uh-oh, man, I'm at a disadvantage already. It is. Not the first, but one of the first. Good evening, gentlemen. As a council, you'll have a lot of responsibilities. There's a lot on your plate. I understand that as well as anyone else, except for you guys, because you're in it. Some things are paramount. Taking care of the city finances, making wise decisions to keep the city viable and protect the taxpayers' money is certainly one of them. The other one at the top of the list is providing services, basic services to the citizens and homeowners. Within the services, my personal opinion is that public safety is paramount. We have to provide decent public safety to our citizens. You've made some great hires. The people running especially the public safety aspects of the city departments are top shelf. I mean, you can't ask for better people.
You have a ticket you're trying to get out of right now, Norm?
Yeah, well, that's at the end. The the guys know what they're doing. The only thing I ask, and this is in reference to the ladder truck subject, that you trust the experts. Trust the experts in their field to make these decisions. There's no such thing as a piece of fire apparatus that does everything you need done on a fire scene. That's why you have engines, you have ladder trucks, you have rescues, etc. So a ladder truck is essential. It's essential to our community, especially the unique features we have as far as access. It kind of goes back to the ladder with the tractor trailer with access. Let the experts figure out what they need to, and recommend it, and please support their decisions. And I know budget's a big deal, but there's certain things you got to have. Most of the structure fires, you don't really need the ladder truck and the ladder apparatus, but when you need it, you need it. It's a life and death situation, or it's a situation where you're saving the structure you're at and the adjacent structures, and nothing can do it more than a ladder truck when you're in that type of situation. So I ask you just to make sober decisions and trust the experts as far as getting a ladder truck. The one we've had for several years is obviously pretty much defunct. I haven't seen it in the firehouse for months, but it's something we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. Kathy Masters.
Hi there, Kathy Masters, 4072 Point Clear. September's coming. In the meantime, we still have an identified health and safety issue on the peninsula, particularly the Point Clear area. As it warms up, in addition to being covered in deer poop and flies and fleas, it's like our yards are infested now. And it has been for the last 5 years. It's a problem, guys. I drive all over town for lots of different reasons, and I almost never see a deer out during the day until I get to Point Clear. They're out all the time. They walk around, they challenge me in my own yard. I use a leaf blower in the morning to shoo them out of my yard because they think they're making their homes in my yard, my shrubbery. They've broken in under my patio. They've broken into screened rooms. They've jumped over and broken fences. Citizens have no options to handle this ourselves due to the city regulations, and we're frustrated by being pushed off. This past summer, council members all agreed the deer were a problem and said it would be handled. There's been no explanation as to why you let the window pass. I'm asking for council to contract culling the deer when the season opens this year, focusing on Point Clear and Windward, near the bottom of the peninsula. You talk about taking pride in the neighborhood, and that's nonsense for those of us who live down there. Anything you spend gets torn up by the deer. Wire fencing around plants is not my landscape design. We had amazing gardens, legacy landscaping, and it has been decimated. You've got to fix this problem. September is coming. Please act.
Thank you, Ms. Masters. Anna Hatcher.
Hello, Anna Hatcher, 1639 Corwin Bend Road, TKK. And I'm pretty sure that you know why I'm here today. I was here last city council. I did not hear any comment from you though. So I will reiterate. In March, this city council, you have passed the ordinance where you added, to address the noise, you have changed the noise ordinance per request of the citizen. And where you have added an exception that was not there before. This exception allows for entertainment to happen pretty much the whole time during the day and until 11 p.m. at night. So there were many concerns. This concern came from the noise coming from the bar located at 2150 Gold Hill Road. Based on your exception, the police refused to help the citizens to abate the noise, and they have specifically referred to this new ordinance that you have passed. So I was wondering, what was the goal of passing and changing the ordinance? Was it to help the homeowners? Was it to help the citizens? Or was it actually to help the bar? During your discussion, the city councilman, Gus, you have mentioned that you should have known where you moved in. I lived in TGK for 14 years. I know where I moved in. The city of TGK is known for the schools, and people move here with small children, is particularly to the new neighborhood or old neighborhoods, because of the schools. The city is not known for the nightlife. So what did you mean by you should have known where you moved in? The bar that I'm talking about was acquired by the new owner in December 2019. Windhaven neighborhood was planned in 2016 or earlier. Correct me if I'm wrong. But everybody knew that it's coming, so who should have known? Do you know all of it? Do you know that people live there with children and families? So, okay. So let me again ask you this question. When you say, you, Mayor, said that we have a business, but you also have constituents, and you have homeowners, and the city operates and exists from the homeowners' tax dollar. So why did you make the preference or for making the change in the ordinance to give the preference to the bar, the business that they have these concerts, because they don't sell the tickets. So these concerts are a way for them to sell as much alcohol as possible. So you made the preference for the business that is a disturbance to the neighborhood over the homeowners and the citizens. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Hatcher.
Ms. Hatcher, I can appreciate what you say. I've lived here since '97. That bar has been there for 35 or 40 years. It's had 12 different owners since I've lived here, but there's always been a bar there, and they've always played music there. The only example I'm making is, I would say, like me personally, I live by the beach club. And I knew when I moved by the beach club that they would occasionally play music there, and I knew that they would have swim meets, and I'm going to hear air horns and, kids screaming and this, that, and the other, but I chose to live there. That bar has always been there, and we did not pass an ordinance to protect the bar. We passed it so our police could enforce when things had gotten out of hand, when things were too noisy, whether it be a private party at someone's home, or whether it be at that bar or any other bar that happens to be located within the city limits, because we got more coming. So that's why the ordinance was passed. It certainly was not passed to protect one business.
Okay. And with that, we will move to our approval of minutes. Gentlemen, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
I have a motion.
Second.
Do I have a motion, second. Any additions, deletions, subtractions, comments?
No, sir.
Well, in saying that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous. Okay, with that, we'll move to the committee reports. And with that, as always, Councilman Machunas, would you please take it away, sir?
The EDC met on the 22nd. There was a quorum. It was a lively discussion. The sponsorship of Catawba Park and the various levels of sponsorship and the portions of the park that could be sponsored, and how we'll, as a city, that we will move towards that in the future. There was discussion about the sponsorship banners being on the outfield fences like they were in the past, and typically we see elsewhere. The city manager said that staff had thought with the the beauty of that park, that having banners all over the outfield might not be the best idea, and they put them in a central location. I guess the thought was, let's see what the individual EDC members and even what council thinks about that as well. But for right now, that's why that decision was made. There was discussion of the naming rights for the various sections of Catawba that will be able to sell naming rights to, and coordinating efforts to make that happen with the TKK Forever Foundation that someone else will be speaking about here momentarily. TKK Community Business Connection was an idea that came up from one of the first meetings once the new members were sworn in. Set it up for a September kickoff. Carmen Miller was talking about the fishing derby and collaborating with the community contribution for that. Also talked about setting up subcommittees, assign members to each bullet, set a chairperson and members of each subcommittee. And when they do that, each member is going to be asked to bring something actionable to the next meeting, not to just come to the meeting and talk about something so they could do another meeting and talk about it again next time. So the chairperson was big on something actionable. And that's about it.
Thank you, Councilman. Planning Commission.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
So the Planning Commission did meet on June 5th. There was a quorum present. There were 4 members present. There were the other three members rung in remotely. So they were all in attendance. They did discuss a few pieces of business that I think were important for us to know about. There was consideration for approval for the plat for Windhaven, Phase 3, Map 2. There was consideration for approval of a revised preliminary plat site plan for Wendell Woods. A lot of discussion around this because we found out that the trail, the connecting trail that was supposed to take Wendell Woods and the Lake Ridge communities to the middle school and the elementary school was taken off the plans because of topography back there. So, learning opportunity for us, council, when Planning Commission makes a recommendation for approval, we probably need to do our due diligence to make sure that things like this stay in place or there's a workaround, because that was a selling feature for council and for the residents, and that's not going to happen now. So that trail got shot down. Didn't get shot down, it's just not feasible. It's just, do I understand that correctly, Charlie? It's not feasible because of the topography?
You've got a 30-foot drop back there, and it's under the Duke lines, and Duke gets to control what type of grade. You're talking about a 1.5 to 1 slope back through there, and even if they were able to
Good for skateboards.
figure that out, it still doesn't get all the way to the school property, and you still have to have the school. There are other options and other ways in which to tackle this with it not going through Wendell Woods. Wendell Woods was an opportunity to have a developer pay for it, but you're talking about if you don't serpentine the trail, and even with that, you're still going across some very, very, very steep terrain. If you tried to bridge it, you're talking about a bridge that's 30 feet up in the air. It just, a lot of safety concerns with trying to navigate that. Plus, you've got Duke controlling how much you can cut in underneath their right-of-way line. So there is another option. It was actually our original option before Wendell Woods became a thing. So as I explained to Planning Commission that night, just because it's not going there doesn't mean we can't do something somewhere else.
But that means the city's going to pay for it.
Well, not necessarily.
Have we released any COs yet?
Oh, they've got their preliminary plat, so their revised preliminary plat.
I'm talking about as far as housing and all that good stuff. We haven't released any COs.
No, sir, they haven't applied for any permits yet.
Okay.
But I'm quite certain we can't hold up permits on a plat that the plat's already been approved.
Okay.
So, but there are other options.
So keep that in mind, fellows, as we go forward, when we look at plans. If that's a selling feature for us to go to a yes vote, we want to make sure that we get some commitments a little differently than what we got this time. There was also consideration for adopting a resolution recommending the city center mixed use to be adopted based on compliance factors and the limits and authority for the Planning Commission. They made a recommendation to move forward. There was a discussion of potential revision for zoning code for mobile food vending service in TKK. That was tabled, and they'll have a, wasn't tabled, it was up for discussion, and they will have a recommendation for council in July on that. Old business, there was a discussion of potential short-term rental regulations as outlined in the model ordinance from South Carolina Municipal Association. We've talked about this with a lot of passion in the past. That bill died at the state. So I made a recommendation, took the liberty of making a recommendation to PC to not continue to pursue or put pressure on PC to continue to pursue any other ordinance change or adjustments to the ordinance since that died at the state, and that pressure is not on us at this time. So if you guys feel otherwise, I'll be glad to take that recommendation back to PC, but I didn't see us having PC spend time on that when it kind of became a moot point. There were some public comments. Both of them were about short-term rentals and a lot of discussion about that path to the school. So that's that. More good news.
Thank you, Councilman Shirley. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, sir. TK Forever did meet. The new members were present, and there was a lot of good discussion about, what type of events to hold in the future, but nothing concrete, just a good discussion. Parks and Rec also met, and the ad hoc committee, and it was just an analysis of the data as they work on the final report to get out to the public in the next couple months. And that is it.
Thank you, sir. With that, that brings us to some new business. We received the Planning Commission's recommendation on adding the city center mixed-use plan to the comprehensive plan. And in the resolution, the City of TK Planning Commission hereby approves and recommends the adoption of the Center City Mixed-Use Plan as an addition to the 2025 Comprehensive Plan for TK, the 2025 Vision Map, Special District Maps, and the 2025 Future Land Use Map by amending the previously adopted Comprehensive Plan.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion to add an agenda item to the agenda on this city center plan. The motion that I'd like to make is that we vote to not move forward with this city center mixed-use plan on the comprehensive plan.
Based on the way FOIA laws work, you can amend to add something to the agenda for an actual item. It has to have that 24-hour notice. On this particular agenda, we don't have any actual items related to this particular item for council to consider. So you can amend the agenda to add it, to then take a vote on it. It has to get that public notice that's required, which is a minimum of 24 hours. So we can have that discussion about the July 10th agenda as to how you want that to look. If council wants to take action on it, or to just, accept the recommendation and take no action on it at any particular time. But you can't add it to the agenda tonight. It would violate FOIA law.
So respectfully, we've adjusted agendas in the past with a motion. Is that not something
You can table items. You can remove things off the agenda. You can add
And move
things
it.
just for discussion, but you can't add something to the agenda where you're going to take action that night.
Okay. I'll accept that. I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay.
Yeah, why is this item on the agenda?
Why is the Planning Commission recommendation?
Yes,
Because
sir.
they're required to make a recommendation to council after the public hearing, which they, at their last meeting, their June meeting. They took a vote. Why they decided to do this one via resolution, I'm not sure. Usually when they do their recommendations, they show up and just, our recommendation is X, Y, Z. For this one, they decided to do it via resolution, and is to make council and the public aware of what Planning Commission voted on as far as a recommendation regarding the city center plan, which they adopted in a 6-1 vote.
So going forward with our recommendation, can any action be taken on this resolution without a vote from council?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, so it, just because they approved a recommendation that it be added to the comp plan, it does not get added to the comp plan until city council votes on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Our next item on the agenda is a consideration of purchasing a replacement ladder truck for the TEK Fire Department. The city purchased a ladder, 70-foot ladder truck in 2007 as part of the bond issuance when we purchased the golf course. The truck has surpassed its useful life and needs to be replaced. An aerial ladder unit was identified in the impact fee study as part of our capital improvement plan. Staff has priced out a new unit that is a 105-foot Pierce aerial ladder truck. Total cost to purchase is $1,524,100. Staff has worked through the financing options, and we can finance this unit for 3.74% over 10 years. Staff is presenting this as a recommendation as our reserve funds are currently earning 5% and would essentially make more money than the interest it would cost us to purchase the truck. The first payment on this unit would not be due until 2025, which is the estimated delivery date. The manufacturer has informed staff that if we wait much longer on ordering, the delivery would potentially move from 2 years out to 3 to 4 years out. Since 2018, this unit has cost the city approximately $113,000 in maintenance and a little over $16,000 a year over the last 7 years. So, gentlemen, I would.
Yeah, Mayor, Council, Bob Barkin, our Finance Director, and Chief Hasty are here to answer any questions as part of your conversation on this matter. So please feel free, any questions and things you have. Typically, it's a motion and a second before the discussion. On this item, I think it's very beneficial to have this discussion prior to council considering a motion.
That's, okay, as long as we're good with the rules. Okay.
Good evening.
Chief
Take it away,
Crosby's
Chief.
requests are usually way cheaper. Just saying. Just saying.
You know, ours last about 20 years, so,
True.
you know, it may cost a little bit more money, but it lasts a lot longer. So, we are at a point where the out-of-service days for this truck continue to climb. Right now, we're at 48 days. We don't have the truck back. It's still in the shop. We hope to get it back at the end of the week, and we know that it's got a couple more days it's going to spend in the shop before the end of the year, the budget year. It's just got a myriad of things. It's aging, just like our own personal vehicles age. This truck's aged as well. You know, by the time we could replace it, we're looking at about a 20-year-old truck. So they're telling us, as of today, 28 to 29 months, if we place the purchase order in the next week or two. As we move farther away from that, we're looking at 42 plus weeks. So months, I'm sorry, I'm saying weeks, months. 42 plus months. So it continues to climb, and all of that's related to supply chain and those kind of things. You know, basically what this does for us is if you guys approve it tonight, what it does is it guarantees us a place on the line, basically. We would be 28 to 29 months before we saw that truck, and would be greater than 2 years before we had to make a payment on it.
So, Chief, in tonight, if we did make the decision to purchase this truck.
Yes, sir.
All this is doing is holding us a place in line.
Right,
There's no money exchanged at this point in time
right.
until we receive the truck.
About 2 years out, yes, sir.
2025.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, how long do you think our truck's got?
It's a guess. So, you know,
I know you don't have a crystal ball. I get it.
No, it's broken. But, you know, my guess is, so we're seeing out-of-service days climb on this truck. That's what concerns me more than anything else. You know, cost of repairs is going up. You guys have got the spreadsheet that I use for that. You can see what's happened over time. We're at about $27,000 currently this year.
Just in the last 6 months.
Well, so this budget year. So we're at about $27,000. And this is a speculation on my part. We've got some things that still need to be repaired on this truck, probably about $3,000 more, you know, if nothing else, catastrophic breaks.
So this year will be twice the average, probably.
I would say so. But what we're seeing is it's just the age of the truck, you know. The truck that we've gone to spec with is a single source vendor. Some advantages of that, we've got 3 of them that sit in the fire station today, and we have very little problems out of them. They're the same age or older than the current ladder. And you guys have got the numbers on the cost of those trucks. So, you know, there's a lot of advantage to going to single source vendor. Single source vendor is one place, one stop shop. Several other things, the engine builder, I'll tell you, the engine builder is getting ready to build a shop over on Carowinds Boulevard. So it'll be an easier access for us to get warranty work done. This truck's got a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty on it. Now, when you get in the engine, there's other things, you know, clauses. You guys are all businessmen, you know. There are other clauses there that could change that. But overall, the truck's got a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty on it. You know, some things the ladder does for us. So we've got a lot of larger homes, townhomes, and those kind of things, apartment buildings, light retail and commercial. We use the ladder in many different ways. So the ladder, we use it in rescue, and you guys all saw the email I sent the other day. A big thing for us is fire attack. If we have a fire in a townhome or an apartment building, we use that ladder in an offensive attack operation, which stops it, or stops the forward progression of that. We're one of 2 staffed ladders on this side of the river. And I say that because, just to make this point, our next closest staffed ladder is about 20 minutes away from us. So it's very important to get that ladder in place, to get it there, and to stop that fire, stop the loss as quickly as possible, or to make the rescue. You know, if you got a rescue, heaven forbid you got to wait 20 minutes to get someone there to take care of that for you. So, you know, on top of the mechanical issues, the out-of-service days are really important to us.
So, can you just one? Anyone? So, Chief, you said 48 days.
Yes, sir.
Is that 48 days consecutive that it's been out of service?
It's been out of service for about 2.5 weeks now.
Okay.
For this one issue.
And we've got another week we've got to throw it back in the shop.
Yeah, well, it's still out of service. It'll be out of service for at least this week. We anticipate getting it back late in the week this week.
Okay.
And it's going to have to go back for a couple of days.
So what do we do in the interim while that truck's getting serviced? Is there a truck that they provide us?
No, sir.
So we're just at the mercy if the other ladder is not available, we're just at the mercy of that other ladder.
Yeah, we have to call for mutual aid. And, you know, like I said, they're a long way away from us. There are other departments closer to us that have a ladder, but they're not staffed. And that's the key. You know, you need a staffed ladder. You need to have that guaranteed. You can have people on that ladder ready to go to work as soon as it gets there. You know, our building construction's changed. You guys know that. We're lightweight. Things burn faster and hotter. We get to flashover, we call flashover, in about 5 minutes now. We used to be 20 minutes. 20 years ago, we were 20 minutes to get to flashover. Fire's burning hotter and faster. So we've got to make that initial attack and initial push much faster than we ever did before. Lightweight construction is a huge issue. It's a safety issue for our firefighters. So we can use that elevated master stream to stop that fire where it is. It's better for our firefighters. We may not have to send them into harm's way.
So my question's financial in nature, Bob. I want to make sure I'm correct on this. So, as the mayor said, we placed the order. We're not making a payment for 2+ years until the truck's delivered.
Right.
Some on council feel like we should not borrow any more money. Let's pay out of reserves, and some are maybe okay with borrowing money. But during that time frame, to me, there's two things that are advantageous to us. We can make the decision as we get closer to taking delivery whether we want to make a payment out of reserves or whatever. And in that time, as Main Street comes online, which is going to be built kind of all at once, we are also allowed to use impact fees, the impact fees that go towards public safety. We could use those to make this payment as well, couldn't we?
Portion of it.
Right. So maybe pull some out of cash reserves and pull some out of impact fees, but what I'm saying is we're not.
There are also other factors too. In 2025, we have capital leases that are coming up, fully paid, et cetera. City Hall will be paid in 2027. So we'll have extra cash in the budget regarding that. I mean, we pay down our debt every year properly, so the budget can handle it. Right now, all our capital outlay issues, we put it in the budget. We used to get resolutions to do for capital leases. We don't do that anymore. We had, the last time we had a resolution for loan was 2 years ago. So we're in great position right now. We have some money in the bank, getting great interest at 5.07% right now. So the city is doing well right now. So I propose we do this. I think we can do this.
And one other question, are you done? I'm sorry. We're talking about 3 and change on an interest rate. As far as for is it now, do we have the option as a city, a municipality, if, say, rates drop 2 years from now, prior to the truck being delivered, and they're where they were in 2019, and we were getting 2% money then, 2.1 I think we got on something. Do we have the option to refinance at that lower rate if we'd like to?
Yes, sir. So as Chief checked into it, there is no prepayment penalty on this. So refinancing it with someone down the road, should interest rates drop,
Okay.
we would be able to do without a penalty.
And Bob, you feel comfortable from what you just told Gus that
I feel
something
comfortable.
you should do?
I do.
And Chief, for you, I'm of the mindset that it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, especially when we're talking about public safety. So my question to you, Chief, is do you feel this is something that you need for your department to ensure the safety of the citizens of TK?
I do.
Okay.
I do, and I'll share with you also. You know, it's not really a want; it's a need. ISO requires of us to have an aerial device, so we've got to send 2 engines and a ladder to every structural response in the city of TK. We were just rated, you guys know, back in August, and he reiterated that fact to me then. He said, you know, this is something you've got to do.
So Chief, if we were not to, sorry if I'm jumping in, if we were not to do this truck, would it affect our ISO rating?
If we didn't have this aerial, if we didn't get hours back on the road, if we're missing structure fires because this truck's in the shop,
Yes, sir.
yes, it will.
How would that affect our insurance?
Insurance will go up to the homeowners and to the businesses.
Okay?
And just to clarify for anybody who happens to be watching at home, everybody in TKK's homeowners insurance would go up if our ISO rating went down. Correct?
Yeah, so if we went, so we're currently a 2, an ISO 2. The best you can get is a 1. And because of staffing, that's why we're where we are. We achieved very well on all the rating scores. But yes, we would go, if we went from a 2 to a 3, homeowners insurance would go up. Business owners would feel the impact as well. So,
And Chief, that would be if we'd had no ladder truck?
no ladder.
Okay.
Yeah. And and I'll tell you, out of service days, so if we didn't have our aerial, and we're not able to respond to that truck, if it's out, I mean, it's been out for, like I said, 48 days now.
Yeah.
If that became a pattern,
then they would
It
re-rate
would-
it.
It would affect us.
And Bob, one question for you I had was, we take the loan tomorrow, right? We prove this and you guys go get the financing tomorrow. Does the interest accrue from tomorrow? It doesn't accrue
That's
until,
August.
okay, that's all. That was my question. Perfect, thank you.
So, I'm sorry, I missed the answer, sir.
It doesn't start till August 25?
August of
August of
2025.
2025.
Thank you.
Give or take that month.
Okay.
And then again, when August comes around, 2000, we have the option of paying 10 years or prepaying some money or whatever.
But at the end of the day, it costs us nothing until we get the truck.
We, would we not be required to pay any kind of a down payment or a deposit to build this truck?
No, sir. Not, so there were several options that were presented to us. Some allowed us to make payments, but with y'all's permission and Bob's guidance in putting the money at the state investment pool, we could do what was it, like 62,000, Chief, is what we would get the credit. If we paid all up front, they would knock $62,000 off the cost. All right. If you keep the 192,000 in the bank and earning 5%, we'll earn about 154,000 over those first 2 years. So it makes better sense to keep the money in the bank.
Right.
Okay. There were options of paying as you go, paying as soon as you order and things like that. But because of the 5% interest rate that we're earning on the money, it makes better financial sense to let it sit and continue to grow versus starting to make payments, for 2 years, making 2 payments before we ever even get the truck.
Yeah, I have to agree. That sounds like smart use of the money.
Do we get paint protection, fabric protection, mud guards, and a bug shield on the front?
How about door edge guards?
I know a guy.
All right.
I'm sure you know a guy.
Gus, you going to help us with oil changes?
Yes.
All right. Couple questions that I have. I look at this from a public safety perspective first. And Chief, you do a remarkable job for us as a city, and we're all very proud of what you're doing. And you too, Bob. You do a great job of watching the pennies for us, and I appreciate both of your recommendations. My questions are more around the return on investment for us as it relates to what we currently have versus what we're proposing purchasing. So I guess a couple of things that I'd like to know is how many calls does this ladder truck go on a year where it had to be there? It was required that truck was there in order to fight the fire or create or prevent a public safety issue.
Yeah, so and I shared that in an email.
Where we can't do without it.
Yeah, I shared that in an email, and I'll reiterate that.
And I know
So-
that, and I think my question's probably more for our residents to hear your answer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I just said that so everybody would know that we've been back and forth and
Yes,
shared
sir.
information. We've got some new software that we started using in August of 2020. So I've got really good data from then forward.
Good.
There is not a button on the report that says that we put the aerial to the building. But what I can share with you is the number of calls that we've had that this truck's responded to. So we're seeing this truck has responded to over 1,800 incidents since August of 2020. These are fires, rescues, weather-related emergencies, and those things. I can tell you that it is our procedure and practice that when we respond to a structure fire, and this includes if we go to a commercial that we have to get on the roof to check out the HVAC, the smoke in a building, those kind of things, our procedure is to put the aerial to the building. It does things for us. It protects us, gives us a second means of egress, and allows us easy access to the building. We do that also for structure fires, and I'll share with you some background. So I've been here for 4 years. We have used the current ladder that we've got on every structure fire we've had in TGK. Of the structure fires we've had in TGK, I can only tell you one time that the tip of the aerial reached where we needed it to go. So it's 77 feet, okay? The new ladder's 105. And that's significant to us because a lot of times we put firefighters in a perilous position. You know, you spent some time as a volunteer.
That's right.
And the rest of you have cleaned gutters and those kind of things. We have to use a ground ladder sometimes to accomplish tasks. And you know, you guys know how TK is. Everything's on a hill. So when you put a ground ladder on a hill, you're not in a real good situation.
Bad recipe.
Yeah, it is. But going back to the point about the aerial being too short. So we haven't been able to use it to its fullest effect. You know, we have used it in fire attack and to knock down the bulk of the fire. You know, we stretch lines. I just shared with you about the time it takes now for a fire to go to flashover, which is everything in the room lights off at one time when you get to flashover. So the fires are burning hotter, faster. We've got to get ahead of them. So this elevated master stream will help us to do that. It'll help us to make that offensive hit so we can stop that fire, stop the growth as quickly as possible. And like I said, it's especially important with townhomes and apartments and those things. If we've got one burning in the middle, we've got to get that fire as quickly as we can so it doesn't burn the whole building down. So, you know, the rescue piece of it, rescue piece is incredible as well. We have elevated anchor points on the current aerial, but sometimes it's just not long enough to reach where we needed to go.
So thinking about this, the current usage of our ladder truck being primarily water volume attack, would a snorkel truck satisfy that as opposed to the expense of a ladder truck?
With a snorkel? No, sir. Most of the snorkels are 55 feet, so
Okay.
they're shorter.
Okay.
Again, which puts us in a different place.
We go backwards that way.
And the other side is the snorkel doesn't have rescue capabilities.
Right.
This ladder will. We've put anchor points on the truck so we can conduct rope rescue, high angle, below grade, all kinds of technical rope rescue as well as confined space. So we built this truck planning for the future. It's not for just today's need.
Chief, talk just a minute. You kind of touched on it a second ago. The current ladder truck is a Ferrara?
It is
that
a Ferrara.
correct?
Yes, sir.
And the one that we're looking at now is a Pierce,
It is
correct?
Pierce.
We've got other Pierce engines.
Yes, sir.
Talk about how old those engines are
Okay.
compared to this. And you've shown council last week as far as a lot less maintenance costs. Now, granted, they are smaller, but talk about some of those differences, if you will, please.
Sure, I'd be glad to. You guys know there's a 1982 Pierce engine sitting at Station 2. We don't use it anymore. It's pretty much a parade truck, but that truck's been in service since '82. It's bulletproof. We've got a 1991 pumper tanker that we use, and it's been in service because we've had trucks out of service for maintenance issues. That truck's been in service, and we continue to run that truck today, and it cost us very little money. The other one is Engine 1, which is a 2006 model. It's a Pierce Quantum. And again, you know, it cost us a little bit of money, but that truck's been in service. Every time this ladder's out of service for whatever reason, or there's maintenance going on, the engine at 2 is out of service, that truck's in service. The engine at 2 has cost us a fair amount of money, and it's another vendor, and I won't talk about all that. But again, the single source vendor, there's better accountability. We can make one phone call, get parts and those kind of things, and those are big deals for us.
Last question for Bob, perhaps, or Charlie. Do you gentlemen know approximately what percentage of the cost of this truck we could pay for with impact fees?
Not without having the impact fee study handy, but I can get you that information tomorrow, Wednesday, for sure.
And I won't hold you accountable to it, but are we talking about 10%, 30%?
I think you're in the 20 to 25% range, if I
Okay.
recall correctly, because it was on the original study, plus it stayed on the update study that this council just approved
So somewhere
last
around
year.
25% of this would be paid for without tax revenue.
Yeah, so the way we've been using the impact fees is we're expending them as they come in to pay
Sure.
down the bond debt. So the only debt related to impact fees that fire has currently is on Station 1.
Right.
All right, so instead of taking a small percentage of the impact fees that are coming in and still using tax money, we've been using the impact fees and paying whatever the bond debt is each year. And what that ends up doing is, as you get later on in that bond cycle, if you will, before that bond's retired, then you don't have the impact fees that are paying for it. And now the taxpayers are paying their portion instead, but at that point, you've got a larger tax base by the
Got it.
time you get to that tail end. So impact fee revenues absolutely can go towards this. And how much? I mean, to be quite honest, it just really depends on the rate of growth as far as how those impact fees come in.
But wouldn't that be a negative, a zero-sum gain if we take this, if we use the impact fees that we're using now to pay the bond, to pay for the fire truck? Then we got to pay the bond with tax dollars,
Correct.
so it's
Yeah,
no,
it
no
doesn't,
win.
it doesn't move the needle.
Right.
Okay.
Correct,
That's
yes.
Good
Yeah.
point.
But it is applicable revenue.
We get a whole lot more impact fees.
Yeah, the good thing with public safety and now Public Works, as well as the water and sewer, as it relates to impact fees, commercial pays those as well. The only impact fee that commercial doesn't pay is Parks and Rec.
Right.
So your residential pays all, your commercial pays all but Parks and Rec. So as Main Street, Windhaven, as those commercial projects start coming in, and those are based on I believe it's a per 1,000 square feet is what their fee is multiplied by.
Okay.
So you'll have those impact fees that'll be coming in as well.
Thank you, guys.
Yes,
Mind if I go one more? Go ahead.
Go ahead, you go ahead.
I know, oh, go ahead, Bob.
Even if we pay the 10-year lease of $192,000. The two existing leases that we're paying off in 2025 amount to $158,000. So it's kind of a wash, and then the city hall payment goes away. So,
But Bob, doesn't the Catawba Park jump up by the same amount as the city hall?
yeah, it goes up as the years goes on, yeah.
So,
Yes, that's zero sum also.
yeah, I'm not saying it can't. My concern is if there's a blip,
We do have money in the bank, but the 5% is too good.
too good to get.
Yeah, that's right.
But I would say this is something, if you approve, in 2 years when it comes, you look at then, what's our delta between what's owed and what we have, and if we have to, we pay it
100%.
off. We pay
Yes, sir.
cash.
I agree 100%.
Again, save the interest and get the discount on the payment up front.
Thank you.
So Chief, would there be a benefit to us not to sell the old ladder truck and to keep it as an auxiliary vehicle for us?
We could pick up some ISO points on it, but I think we would continue to have maintenance.
Not particularly worried about ISO points. I'm talking a public safety standpoint. If we had a structure fire on one end of TEK and we've got a structure fire on the other end of TEK, would it behoove us to save the money we're gonna possibly get to sell that truck in order to give us a redundant ring for those trucks?
We've got a couple of problems. So one of my problems is we don't have where
Where
to
do we
put
put
it.
it? Yeah.
I thought we were putting it in your house, Scott. That would be really cool.
You know, about 10 years ago, when my kids were younger, it would have been fun.
Yeah, it could help us. I think what we have to weigh is what the maintenance cost is, what's happened in the out-of-service days. And, it wouldn't be a frontline vehicle anymore then. But the maintenance pieces we still have to do with it. We spend a fair amount of money maintaining those trucks every year just because of the specialty of that piece of apparatus. Just to give you an example, it's $800 to get the aerial tested every year. Then we have to get all the ladders tested. It has to become certified every year. So it's not a cheap vehicle to maintain. But when you need it, like you guys have just said, when you need it, you need it. And, it is a valuable piece of equipment for us.
Well, I'm going back to the leaf truck.
Right. Have it a backup. Have
We
it a
bought
spare.
this brand-new leaf truck, and the brand-new leaf truck goes down.
Right.
And we've got our old leaf truck, and our old leaf truck went down. So,
I think it's something we can investigate and have more conversations about because the trade-in value or the
we got a
resale
lot of
value
time.
is not very high by any means.
And
it's not gonna
there's
really
5 months
push
that
the
leaf
needle.
truck runs every day, too. That ladder truck better not run every day.
Yeah. Not
We
the
got a problem.
reserve.
We got 2 years to make that decision.
yeah, but I'm just
Well,
saying,
and
That's
you're
right.
right. So in today's dollars, and you guys know, and I'll share with the community, in today's dollars, that truck's gonna bring between $100,000 and $150,000. When we get 3 years, 28, 29 months down the road, I don't know what the value of the truck would be. So you know, it's definitely something that we can look into.
Well, just me, I keep some old dogs on the lot just in case we got to go hunting.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe we
so-
do what Pierce did and we sell that truck now at the price that it's going at now. And and then give it to them in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate
fellas.
it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate all the input.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of a replacement ladder truck for the TKK Fire Department and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimous.
Made you work for that one.
Let's do that before the agenda comes out next time.
Don't get any ideas, Joey.
Yeah, exactly.
Chief, that's your last ask until the end of 2024. Joey's like, I'm next, I'm next, I'm next.
Chief's back there. He's
Wait a
like,
minute,
I
you
got
got cars and
two,
stuff
I got
last
two
week."
Tahoes. What did I get?
Okay, and with that, brings us to the city manager's report.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Mayor.
Funderburk?
Members of council, I'll be brief. Do please keep Tim Gillette in your thoughts and prayers as his mother passed away. She's been battling dementia for a while. He's going to go back to Pennsylvania sometime next month for her celebration of life. It wasn't an unexpected passing, but difficult nonetheless. Department heads and staff have been working hard on their budgets the past few months, and we'll be meeting as a team to review those next week in preparation for our council budget workshop later on in July, and looking forward to having those conversations with council. Fall registration for our youth sports has begun. It began June 1st, and we're at almost 900 kids in the first 19 days already signed up. And that's spread out between football, softball, baseball, and soccer. Soccer accounts for 573 of those. So after a little bit of a rocky start in the spring, Independence rebounded and ended up having a great first season with us. And I think that shows by the number of kids that have already signed up in the first 19 days. Non-resident registration will begin July 1. So it's resident only right now, and people are jumping on it. So looking forward to having lots of kids back out in the fall. Our Let Freedom Ring celebration is quickly approaching for July 4th. It'll start Saturday, July 1st with a concert at Rundy Park. Monday evening, we'll have our boat parade and ski show. You can see those out at Windjammer. It's trolley only to get down there to see those. And then on Tuesday will be our land parade, the Lions Fish Fry, and our fireworks show. We are still seeking registrations for both the land and boat parade. The numbers are way down compared to previous years. So hopefully folks have just been on vacation, hadn't got around to it, but council, push it out to your neighbors and friends, let them know. They go to the city's website and get signed up. I think we've got 6 boats right now and maybe 27, 28 land parade participants. We're usually in that 80 to 90 range. So hopefully everybody's just doing it last minute, but don't wait. And that concludes my report for this evening, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Funderburk. And now we will move on to council comments. And as always, I'd like to start with Councilman Richard.
I'll jump in. I'll be quick as usual. Thanks to everybody that's here coming out, showing your support, giving your input. We really do appreciate it, believe it or not. A little good back and forth is always good for everyone, but thanks to staff, thanks to police, fire, first responders, everything you guys do. I meant, and Casey's not here tonight, I was going to throw out, is she back there? I didn't see her. Casey, this one goes out to you. I missed you last month. We really do appreciate all you guys and everything you do. You know, we have a great crew here, guys, and as you could see, you know, from what Bob was talking about earlier, we're in a very good position from a financial perspective, and it's because of the hard work of everybody involved, the time that we spend in budget meetings, the time beating each other's heads against the wall, going and who gets what and how much. And so thanks for all the hard work, dedication, and effort. I'll shut up and have a happy 4th, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Hughes.
I, as always, would like to thank our first responders and the rest of our city staff for the bang-up job that they do year in and year out. And thanks for all the hard work that's going into the budget, and I guess we'll be reviewing that next month. Would also like to wish everybody a safe and happy 4th of July. If you're on the water, I'll once again say everybody be careful out there. By noon, the crazies are out there. You need to be extremely careful. Wear a life jacket, as our mayor always says. Quick comment about the deer. Just Ryan said it last time. I mean, I think I could probably speak for all of us that we will do our last step of due diligence with DNR as soon as we're able to do that, and decisions will be made this fall. I mean, that's as quick as we could do it. It's not, you just, I see the comments out there. Somebody will say, well, you know, hey, let's just have a limited bow season. I'm sorry, that's not an option. Can't do it. We have very few options, and we have to go through a process, and we're in the middle of the process, and we understand what a big deal it is, especially in the older section of TKK, how bad it is. So with that, I'm done.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Shirley.
I'll keep it shorter than last month, just so you know. Yeah, right. Thank you, Chief and Chief, for everything that you guys do to keep our city safe, and keep us on track, being the safest city in South Carolina. And to staff also, thank you for everything you do to put these meetings together, give us all the information that we do, deal with all of the questions we throw at you guys day in and day out for the public's knowledge. Our email addresses and our phone calls are pretty busy. We talk to each other a lot throughout the month to get to this business meeting and kind of have an idea what we want to do and how we want to run the city. So that's in no short order from what the city staff does. I had the pleasure of attending a York County Chamber event earlier this week, and it was this week, right? Yeah, last week, Thursday. Two city staff members were seated at the table where I was Casey and Gretchen, and just want to tip my hat to both of you for your professionalism and the way you represent our city. I really appreciate that. It was nice to sit at the table with you both. About the deer, yep, we think we should take action right now too, but I will tell you that the Department of Natural Resources will not let us take action now because all of the fawns were just born within the last 45 days, and they won't survive without their mama or a mama. So that just the natural course of survival for these animals. The DNR their job is to make sure that they protect the wild animals and that they protect them in ways that helps them continue to flourish. It would have a big impact that you probably want on the deer population if we did something right now, but they're not going to do that when there's a bunch of babies running around nursing their mamas. So we'll get through that stage. The antlers will grow on the males, continue to grow in the next month or so. I'll ask staff if they'll put on their calendars once Mr. Tim comes back and gets settled back in that we can do another deer study as soon as possible, hopefully August
I
sometime.
think he's got it scheduled from mid to late July.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. And I will not be attending that one. I'm sure they know what they're doing. I already got my education in more ways than I wanted to. But all right, so we'll do that deer study. Sounds like it's scheduled for the end of July, which is wonderful, and we can work with through the rest of the process to do what we need to do. Thank you for the comments that you folks have about that and your concerns. I agree with you. The gentleman that talked about the 18-wheeler, man, I've been here for 18 years. That's the first time I've seen anything happen like that. But to your point, that could have been catastrophic. It could have been terrible if somebody had to get out of there in quick, fast, and in a hurry. I would tend to agree with you that it probably would be wise on streets like that for us to post a sign, no large trucks or something like that. So I appreciate that suggestion. Thank you. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Councilman Shirley. Mayor Pro Tem Isley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks everyone coming out, everyone watching at home, fire, police, thanks for everything you do as always. Chief, congrats on a new truck. Shout out to our esteemed colleague down at the end, Mr. Richard. Congratulations on being awarded the most admired CEO by the Charlotte Business Journal. Congratulations. Yeah. And I want to give a shout out to the staff for Public Works and Parks and Rec. The parks on this side of town are looking great. You got fertilizer out, they're growing good, and I saw guys out trimming the trees the other day along TK Drive. That's some work, and it's shaping up nicely for the 4th, and appreciate everything they're doing. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. And that would be me. The first thing I want to comment on is the deer. I want to go on record publicly as saying there will be something that will happen in October, and we will have the tracks laid so that it will happen swiftly and it will happen concisely. And we will be done with the deer in the next 2 to 3 years.
Done with the deer problem.
With the problem.
Thank you. I got your
At this
back,
point,
buddy.
I've got the same problems that everybody else has. I live right down in the peninsula as well. And they have killed everything that I've got in my yard, so I feel everyone's pain with it. I'm tired of it, but I can't do anything until October. Rest assured, the tracks will be laid. There will be grease under the wheels, and there will be a jet propulsion motor attached to the rear end, and we are going to get it done. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Summer's coming. We've got a great celebration. Saw the guys out today along the road, getting the mulch in, getting the trees trimmed up. I tell you, TEK's looking great, folks. Everything's in bloom. Our guys that are mowing the medians and everything for us doing a great job. Everything's looking great. Chuck's got it going on the golf course. If you haven't taken a spin around the golf course lately, grab a set of sticks and a couple of little white balls and go chase them around that big field. It looks great. Hats off to Chuck and the guys for doing that. Also, our Park and Rec guys doing a great job. If nobody's been over to Rundy lately, we got some new mulch going down. Got a lot of good things going in over there. Be careful. The slide is going to be taken down, I understand. So there won't be a holy slide left. That slide itself has seen its better days, and we are not able to flip it like we thought we were going to. So the hardware doesn't line up. It's a bummer, but it is what it is. We got some more slides on that piece of equipment and everything, so there you go. As far as summer goes, everybody make sure that you keep an eye on not only yourself, but also your neighbors. The summer's heating up. People are out in their yards working, and heat stroke happens very quickly. So make sure you keep an eye on your neighbor. Hey, take them a bottle of water if you see they're a little bit red like Charlie gets when he mows his grass. Another
He's
thing,
red right now.
Keep an eye out for everyone's kids. Even if you don't have kids, they're very precious to all of us. And they don't have the sense that some of us have most of the time. So keep an eye on the kids, if you would, this summer. If you see something they're doing that's not exactly what they need to be doing, say something about it. It's what makes us great. TEK, we watch after each other, we watch after our children, and that's just the way we do it. A lot of cities don't do that anymore, and we see what happens to a lot of cities. We got a lot of kids in trouble. We got a lot of kids that are getting killed, getting hurt, drowning in pools, all that kind of good stuff. We don't want that here. So if you see something, say something, and if you have to step in and help a child or help another person out, please do so. And then make sure that you call a 911 on your way to help them. If you're on the lake and you're under 13 now, Chief? 12?
13 and
Is it 13 and under? Make sure that your kids have got a life jacket on. Even at that, if you're just floating in the lake and you're our age, have a life jacket close by. Have it with you. That way, if you do get in distress, then you've got something that'll help you out. We just want to keep everybody safe this summer and make sure that everybody has a great summer, and we keep all of our calls down as low as we can for our fire department, our first responders. As always, gentlemen, great job. Chief, appreciate all the information tonight. Chief Crosby, thank you for the outstanding job you do, sir. Bob, thank you, sir, for the job you do. Folks, I just want to say thank you for coming out tonight. Appreciate everybody giving us the opportunity to explain things, and everybody coming out to support us on the council. Gentlemen, as always, great job this evening. I appreciate all your input. And with that,
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion to go in executive session.
I would take a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Could we just let folks, this is really the last agenda item before adjournment, isn't it? Yes. Okay, so if folks wanted to be dismissed,